my goodness. It's like completely the end of the year now. We are officially in December. It is cold as hell outside for a Cali girl like me. Welcome to Grown as Women with my homies, my homegirls, my besties. And we here to talk about some real shit with some real women, right? So get in with us, hear what we got to say, share it with your friends, bring up the conversation starters with them, get all deep with it, and all the things as you embark on this journey of grown ass women with these grown ass, fine ass women. Y'all look good, y'all. Y'all look good. I be thinking we need to have some starter music, right? Grown ass women.
Some walking
women,
music.
right?
How about I'm doing hood rat-ish with my hood rat?
Oh yeah, y'all see me doing my thing right there? Y'all don't want to see what's happening at the bottom. Up top, I got on a sweatshirt, but at the bottom, I got on some Care Bear pajama pants from the Deep Creek trip. Care Bear pajamas.
I just folded them and put them away.
Yes, girl. They comfortable too. They match. Not really.
They
don't really match.
But we do need opening music, like
we
for
do
podcasts. We need.
So we're gonna do hood rat shit with my friends.
I like that. That's pretty dope.
You know that was the theme music going up to Philly, and as I recall, it was some hood rat shit with my friends.
Yep.
I'll take the owner over that. I don't know.
No comment.
Yeah, let me. You know what? Let me just go ahead and be quiet so I don't incriminate. And all the things, right? Because I might have had a drink or two in the places.
Or 5 or 7
places.
Oh, I don't need you to add on. Why you added? That's a friend for you. Just go add on extra stuff. Wait, hold on. So, ladies, tonight, do y'all want to talk about toxicity? Like, is it you? Is it me? Is it the environment? Do y'all want to talk about lies, embellishments, omissions? Like, there's so much to talk about. And I was thinking, I think Nikki mentioned it, we could really go to our group thread and pull out something from there too, because we be cutting up on that text message thread, and I'm sure everybody got a good text message thread with their friends.
But that thread is scary.
It is scary, right? Like you be having a normal regular day, and then somebody poses a question, and it's like,
yeah. Well, I think we should start with the toxic.
You're blurred,
right? Because I posted some stuff in the thread a while ago, and I was like, I think this man is gaslighting me. And then, I confronted on it, and he was like, "You're the smartest person I know." And I was like, "Why? Because you can't gaslight me?" But it's just really interesting how gaslighting, and that's such a new term, but it's not a new behavior. It's just gotten this prominence. And so when you think of toxicity, gaslighting really falls under that, where it's like people trying to make you think you're crazy when it's sort of like, no, that's not what it is.
Listen, so I pulled out the definition of gaslight: manipulate someone by psychological means into questioning their own sanity.
Right. Wow. Exactly.
Very good.
And think about how often that happens, even in the smallest ways. Like it could be at work, it could be in your personal life, in your friendship, in romantic relationships. And it's like, where does that impulse come from? And can you come back from that? Like, can you come back from toxic relationships? It's a good question.
But is it the same? Do you think being toxic and gaslighting are one and the same, or are those two different things, right? Because gaslighting almost implies a certain intent, right? There's an intention there if you're gaslighting someone. Because if you're being manipulative, there has to be a certain presence.
Yeah. Right? Except everybody doesn't know that they're being manipulative. Except some people really don't know, like they wouldn't really call it that. They think they're like winning a battle, right? Like they immediately think about their friend or their partner as the enemy in that moment. They don't necessarily think, I'm gonna make you crazy. They think I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win this conversation right now, and I'm gonna use all your weaknesses and your insecurities, and I'm gonna flip them back on you real fast and make you feel crazy. So
and I think gaslighting is a part of toxicity because so much of it probably comes from their own psychological state, because I feel like some people, when they're gaslighting, truly believe that you have wronged them, right? You know, so when it's like, you know, so I put in the thread for the people out there, he sent this message like, you've disowned me, you know, and I feel abandoned. And I was like, that's not because of me. Like, you feel abandoned because of your own issues, and you're putting that on me. So that's toxic, because I don't know, the intent always is to manipulate someone, but you truly believe in your mind. It's like being a narcissist. Like, you actually believe this in your own head.
Yes. How do you tell someone that they are gaslighting and try to describe it? Then they turn around and say the same thing about you. So now we're both gaslighters, right?
Yeah.
And then I think that's how the relationship becomes toxic, because the actual gaslighter is, I don't even know if that's a word, gaslighter, but the actual the actual person that's doing the gaslighting is making you react a certain way, and now you're outside of yourself, and now you are aiding in the toxicity. So now everything is just toxic. You can't. I mean, we're saying that we're doing the same thing to each other, essentially. So what do you do?
I mean, I think the thing that you have to do is consistently tell the person. I'm gonna be super transparent, and y'all know this, but in my heart beating real fast as I say this aloud to the peoples, my heart is like, do. Be quiet, girl. Be quiet. Protect yourself. But I used to gaslight. I mean, and I don't mean used to like in 2012. I mean in like
like yesterday,
like last week.
I mean, no, not last week. I'm reformed as of July. Maybe August. I don't know.
So yeah, mine may have been like maybe like within the past 12 hours. It's as simple as, you mean your friend? Oh, your snaky friend? Okay. Because really think about it. Like, what are you doing? You're reinforcing your opinion on someone that doesn't hold it the same way. But the intention is not to manipulate them. It's like, hey, friend, I love and care about you. You don't see this person for who they are. I know that this is not a good person for you. Let me help you catch up. So since you
yeah.
If I tried it directly, people, you know what I mean? But is that not the same thing? Now I'm making you question because I'm reinforcing, maybe depending upon how you do it, right? Maybe it's dependent upon how the message comes out.
Well, that manipulation is also around using people's insecurities against them, right? So it's knowing it's knowing what some of their personal and deep and internal insecurities are, which is why you could really only get, I guess not really, but you're likely to get gaslit by somebody who's close to you, not like a stranger, or not by like somebody that you don't have a relationship with, because in order for somebody to gaslight you, they have to know your insecurities, and then that's when they start playing psychological games and stuff, right? Yep. And as a reformed gaslighter, one of the things I did was realize that I was doing it as a defense mechanism, because I was too afraid to say, like, you hurt me. Like, that hurt me too deeply. That hit a sore spot for me. You keep doing the same thing that I've asked you to do, and it's now making me feel like you don't care enough to evolve in this situation with me, whatever the case may be. And you guys know that I'm a very direct person. So by the time I get to the point of gaslighting, it's likely because the person hasn't responded to my directness, right? But then it was actually in therapy. I was talking to my therapist, and I was describing something. And as I was describing it, I was like, oh shit, I was gaslighting. Like, I was gaslighting. And she was like, yeah, LaNail, you were. I had to go to the person who happened to be my wife. I could be transparent. I happened to go to my wife like, yo, I was gaslighting. I'm so sorry. She was like, is that what it was? Because you was making me feel like I was crazy. And when I sat back and I started thinking about it, I've done it in other situations too, primarily as a defense mechanism. And looking at the patterns that led to that. I didn't just gaslight just because. It was usually something, right? But I think about mental health all the damn time. And it took me to be sitting down thinking about a very specific incident, thinking about my role in it for me to acknowledge that I was gaslighting and then to accept that I was gaslighting and then to decide to change. So to your question, Jay, I think you can help somebody to bring light to it, but until they're ready to acknowledge it for themselves and to accept it for themselves, I don't know if it's actually going to change. If they become defensive because you said, "Hey, I think you're gaslighting, you're projecting in this moment," I don't know if they're not ready. I don't know if they're really going to be able to hear it.
So I have a real life example. Let's take away the term gaslighting
Oh, Nick, your signal is bad.
Yeah, I think so. I guess you'll step back in. Yanni, you were saying, well,
I was gonna say, as
and say manipulative, right? Since that was the key. So if someone says, but then will that then stop? I mean, it says my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah. It just popped back.
Y'all are real gaslighting right now for the record.
Just like these gaslighters, unstable.
Did you say we were gaslighted or the internet was gaslighted?
The internet was gaslighted.
The internet was making me think I'm crazy.
Listen,
right. I was like, what's happening here? I thought y'all were just like, yeah, no, like this. It was
no, we were like, I think she's frozen.
No, I'm joking. No, but it was the term manipulative. Like, let's take away what did we used to call it before gaslighting was even a term. We called it manipulative, right?
Yeah.
Narcissism.
Me and my air sign are big on intent. And intent, real life situation, I had somebody say that I was being manipulative because I thought I was trying to, right? And so the problem that caused is that from moving forward, I have to hold back now because it was perceived as being manipulative. It was perceived in a negative way versus understanding, you know, when you think someone knows you very well, that you expect them to know that your heart is always in the right place, right? But sometimes you do have to have those hard conversations, to your point, LaNail, to Jonai's question of saying something. So yeah, said this is how they're interpreting this behavior, you know, luckily, because this is a person that I love and care about, now in every other situation, it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be manipulative. So, you know, say anything about this, but then how can I fully be present if I have to restrict so much of what I'm saying and doing? So, you know, if that's not your intent to be a professional gaslighter, then, you know, then where's the middle ground? Like, how do you move forward trying to be protective of friends without coming across as being manipulative? It's like, oh, hey, should you consider this? You know, then it's too soft, and that's just not me.
I don't know about that though, Nick. I kind of feel like you should be able to tell a friend or a partner, a spouse or whatever, when you have an opinion that's different than them, and that wouldn't necessarily be gaslighting. That would be a differences of opinion. Now, if the person automatically responds and says that's manipulation, then there's probably something deeper that's going on because they can't even receive any feedback from you, right? But and I'm not saying that all gaslighters or even manipulators are aware that they're doing it. So to Yanni's example that she gave, I don't know if this man realized that he was gaslighting or manipulating or projecting or anything like that. I'm not saying that I think that people are always aware of it, but we know that it's off because we feel uncomfortable with it. It's different than somebody just giving us an opinion. It's like you're attacking my mind. You're attacking the psychology of me. And that's more than just having a differences of opinion. But in that case, I don't know, and we're going to continue to talk about toxic environments and stuff because some people are toxic and they don't know they're toxic. And
a lot of people are toxic and don't know it.
Yeah, and then they call everybody else toxic. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to move past that because Jay, I saw that you had something you wanted to say about it too.
I did, but I forgot now. But I do want to say, sometimes I think gaslighting comes in as a form of dislike and distrust in those moments. I don't know that I don't know that this is how you ultimately feel about a person or whatever, but I think we have these periods where I just don't care for you right now. So anything that you have to say, I'm gonna flip it, twist it, turn my nose up at anything concerning you in your heart or your opinions, anything, because I'm not feeling you right now, and I don't care.
Yeah,
that's a good
So
point.
I think I think that is characteristic of why you're even gaslighting. And so now you have to dig within yourself if you can grasp, if you can become aware of it, if somebody can really point that out to you and you take the time to try to hear what the person's saying at some point, once you can shut the hell up for a second. Then it's like, why is this person the enemy? And what do and do I even want to do anything about it? So now, is this a toxic person for me? Am I toxic because you're just not for me? You're not meant for me in this moment or in this lifetime, whatever it is. But that's something that you have to sit down and really get to the root of.
Damn. So one of the things I heard you kind of say is a person can make another person toxic. That's what you're saying. So. Like you could go into a relationship whole. That person over there is doing something, and subsequently your response mechanism is to become toxic as well. I think that's what happened.
That's
Damn, I think so.
True. Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
absolutely true.
Because
and I think sorry.
I'm sorry, Yanni.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say to Jonai's point, like those words even sound toxic. Like you dislike someone, which is fine to dislike a partner, a friend, or dislike their behavior. Maybe not them as a person,
right?
But dislike something that happens. But it was the second part that really got me was then you tried to hurt them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like there are times when you might dislike your children, your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, and that's okay. That's human. But when you go out of your way to then hurt them, I think that's when it becomes toxic.
Yeah. I was sitting over here thinking, I don't do that. I don't, because y'all know how I am. I just cut you off. Like, do that. I'm serious. And so I'm thinking, I really don't do that. But I do have a person in my life that they're permanently in my life for, this conversation. And I don't like some of their behavior. And I found that when they're exhibiting this behavior, I say hurtful stuff. I say it right. I say exactly what's on my mind that would be intentionally hurtful to get them to stop, because we've had these conversations over and over again. Like, look, I don't like the way you're behaving. It bothers me when you're in my presence. I need you to stop. And when they, exhibit that behavior, I go for the jugular. I'm trying to hurt you. I want you to shut up, and I want you to shut up now. And so that's
right now.
Great point. Yeah. And it's because I dislike the behavior that the person has shown me over and over and over again. Yeah, that's a good point, Jay.
And do you
I felt that Aries energy. I know you can cut them off.
I know, right? I think I got a little burned. Like, ooh, oh, the heat was coming. The heat was coming.
But how long does it take? I mean, I know there's no real answer for this, but how long does it take for this person? Well, if this person keeps continuing this behavior and you continue to dislike this behavior, at what point do you start to dislike this person as a whole? Because at some point now you are affecting me greatly. So now when you're in my presence, I'm just mad for no reason. You didn't even say anything yet, but I know you will. So now I have energy, have bad energy. Even if you haven't done or said anything yet, my PTSD will not allow me to be great. Right? Right? I mean, that's real. That's real. Like I can't be great because I'm already geared up for you to say some shit, and now I'm ready to set it off. Like I wish you would say something because I am ready.
You already have that role play in your mind, like you gonna say this, I'm gonna say this back.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. But for me, in this particular relationship that I'm talking about, like I can't cut this person off. Like I have to live with this person. And there are reasons why I still communicate with them. I have a deep disdain for the human, but I just have to deal with it. And I try to check myself, like have that self-talk. Look, if you get irritated, don't lash out, stop, think about it, think about the reasons why you need to nurture this relationship. And sometimes it works, and sometimes, life gets the best of me, and
that's on the day it works on the day you had wine versus the day you didn't.
I was just about to say, don't let me have any juice.
Listen,
no juice.
Cheers, ladies, cheers. But can I back up for a second to a point? And I think Jonai made the point about someone can make you toxic. Like, y'all know, lived a whole, I think because we adapt in our relationships, right? Like it's easy to adapt to your environments, right? And so the whole concept of what you surround yourself around, you can become, right? So behaviors, I mean, I lived 7-8 years of that. And, Dee actually said something to me the other day that was profound to me. She does this a lot, y'all, by the way. Dee will have jewels she just drops. And she doesn't even know how it has stayed on I'm gonna try not to cry because it was so profound. And it had to do with me being fully present in myself since leaving a certain situation. And she even noticed it and was like, yeah, I noticed it. And I wasn't even aware of how much of a difference that presence was, right? Outside this situation. Like I knew it logically, I knew it mentally as far as A, B, C, X, Y, Z, if you put it on paper. But once you get into how a person feels and their energy, and when she said that, I was like, oh, wow. It just, every day since she said that, which I think was Thanksgiving Day, every day, and it has crossed my mind because I was like, wow. Because I think about the behaviors, to your point, Jonai, you can be around someone that's toxic or someone that gives you behaviors or instills behaviors or you pick up or causes you to be toxic, right? Because you're trying to leading up to, Dee's point, you're trying to make something work, right? You're trying to make it work. And when you talk about let the church, amen, child. Wow. And she's actually not the first person that I've been around since then that has said, oh, I like this you. Oh, you know what? And these are people that didn't know me for ages and years beyond being in that situation for 7-8 years. It was just, they knew me in the situation, see me now and are like, oh yeah, no, this right here, this is, I'm feeling this. Like this was good. This feels right. And it was, so thank you, Dee.
No, I was gonna say, Nick, it's almost like I'm meeting you for the first time. Like, no BS. I love you, but I was always like, it's something. Yeah. It's something. I don't know. I can't put my finger on what it is, but it's something. And LaNail is nodding because I say that it's something. It was that. It was that. Because the person I saw on Thanksgiving and the person I've seen consistently since then is a different person. Your energy is different. Your spirit is different. Like your conversation is different. You carry yourself in a different manner. I feel like I'm just getting to know who you really are. That there was a barrier between who you were in the outside world because of that situation.
Yeah.
So yes, ma'am.
Wow,
And we
that's
talked about that too, Nick. Like as that situation was ending, I was like, well, you're gonna have to give some people some time too, because we have to get to know who you are outside of that, because you knew that you had adjusted. Uh-oh, I think she frozen because she looked like she had permanent side eye, right? So that's okay. Maybe I'll tell her on the text message later. Oh, you
she's
back?
back. She's back.
I'm back now. I was about to say, repeat it all. Repeat it all.
Because Nick, that frozen face was giving permanent side eye. I was like, okay. But we talked about how it was going to take some time because you knew that you had changed in that situation. But for those of us that met you in the middle of that situation, we thought that was just who you were, right?
Yeah.
And until you were out of it and you decided to show us the real authentic side of you. But that's super interesting to continue to think about how a person can make you toxic, and it's so true, right? Like when we think about it, it's like it's simple, but still yet, to use your word, profound, right? Because we like to think that no, we're consistent and stable in every situation, right? I'm the first to be like, I want to be consistent in every situation. I want to be who I am. I'm not a person that takes pride in adapting to every situation. I don't like that, right? Because I feel like I get manipulated by the environment, and that doesn't feel authentic to who I am or my purpose.
Right.
But when I did my retreat in Richmond, remember that was one of the things that I was telling you guys about, that I needed to get back to me, and I didn't want environments to change me because, again, that didn't feel good. But it takes for groups like this, for like friend groups, for people to hold you accountable, for people to be like, you're changing, or you look, you're different, or, this is not working, or it is working, but you got to trust the people that you're hearing it from. This, to your example earlier, Nick, whoever you were talking to, it sounds like they were just super defensive. Maybe they weren't ready to hear what you had to say, or maybe they didn't trust you, not because there's something wrong with you, but because there's potentially something wrong with them.
And maybe there was some truth, because that person has known me for a very, very, very long time. Maybe there was some truth in it. You know what I mean? Because younger Nikki, I'm gonna own that. I probably was.
Yeah.
I mean, just owning it. Not necessarily. I would say manipulative more so than gaslighting.
Yeah.
Because it was more of just being selfish and self-centered. You know what I mean? I would. So, I mean, just being honest, like, especially the younger version of me, I was on a whole nother, it's all about me path.
Yeah.
So, and then you have life experiences that just humble you, they just do and show you something different. So it's a lot. I mean, even with you, LaNail, as far as the toxic, and to your point about having friend groups and what Jonai said earlier, being able to say something and tell someone. I remember you had made a comment when I was still in that situation about, I'm concerned about, what was it, who you're becoming or how it will affect. It was something to the extent of being concerned about how this person was going to affect me. I think me taking on ideologies or taking on opinions or just allowing them. And it was like, oh, so to Jonai's point, if it is really your friend, whether you like it or not, because I expect my friends to tell me things I'm not necessarily going to like, right? Regardless, because it's coming from a good place and you need to be held accountable. I feel like you should be able to tell your friend that they're gaslighting. You should be able to tell your friend this isn't cool, because that has actually, to your retreat point, LaNail, made me revisit my social circles. Like, man, there's somebody I may have been friends with for a long time, but it's a lot of drama in that, or it's a lot of, is this really, really right? You know what I mean? Is this really where I want to put my energy just because they may be available all the time? Like, is that really, what I want to do? Like, the reciprocity and energy. And then if it causes problems in other relationships, that's definitely not to the point of being toxic, right? When it now spills over past you into your other friendships and other relationships, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So be able to say something if you're to a friend, if that's what they're doing.
If you see something, say something. Yes,
And to the other point of that, when you're being when a friend is gaslighting you, it's a little easier to sometimes deal with and process because you get to measure how frequently you are around that friend. But when it's your partner or it's your spouse and y'all live together, you don't get to measure it the same way, right? Like you don't get to be like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from you. No, we live in that same house. We have the same bed. And so when we're talking about toxicity in friendships, you get to sit back and reflect and process and maybe share with somebody else. But when it's your marriage, you can't always, you don't always share with other people. People don't always share with other people, but you guys know me. I tell y'all everything to the degree where Megan is like, your friends hate me. And I'm like, my friends love you. That's what
we love Megan.
And if anything, they cussing me out. Like, LaNail, get your shit together because you messed up, or don't do that, right? So, but that's because of the kind of friends that we are and the friendship that we formed. It then makes me think, did anybody else want to say anything about this? It then makes me think about that other question we were thinking about, not the lies and embellishment, but when is it time to pick a new friend? Like, when is it time that your friends have just, we always be talking about it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Why are we making some of our friends lifetime friends when they really just reason friends? Or why do we, and I think me and you, Jay, no, when we went to the vineyard recently, I think we were talking about the fact that sometimes people manipulate, I won't say the word manipulate, right? Like that's too charged right now, but sometimes people become friends with people just for opportunities. And so Jay, you made a good point with that. And when the opportunity is done, then the friendship is done and that feels used and taken advantage of. But sometimes, and I don't know about y'all, but sometimes, we be holding on to people, they reason and they season is gone. And they be like, but that's my friend forever because we knew each other in the 3rd grade and we was playing hopscotch. What?
Yes.
That is not your friend anymore. But tell me, when do you know that it's time for you to get a new friend? When do you know?
Well,
oh man, that's tough.
I think sometimes when you're not good with yourself, you're afraid to let people go because you're already lonely and you feel like knowing people and having people just adds some other element to your life, and it just doesn't, right? You are the one that's jacked up. So now you're just holding on to people. You're selfishly holding on to people. I mean, and they may be holding on to you just the same. But I think a lot of times when you know when you don't feel good, when you're being fake, you know when something's not right. You're just uncomfortable, and I'm just going through the motions. So I think if you can be aware enough, or I don't know what word I'm looking for, but if you can just have that conversation with yourself and lay it out on the table, like why is this person here? Why am I choosing to hang with this person or whatever? It's usually something to do with you. It's usually because I'm bored, I'm lonely, this person's always available, so I'm gonna hang out because I need something to do. So I generally think we know when it's time, but we tend to hang on to things just like old clothes. You know how many times I've gone through the same clothes and said, "Oh, I'm okay. I think I'm gonna wear this. I'm gonna wear this later. I'm gonna wear this." It's kind of the same thing. Just let that shit go.
Well, before you let the clothes go, definitely ask me
Try 'em
over.
on.
Yeah, you got cute clothes, Jonai. I mean, I know that's not what this is about, but
it's always about cute
be
clothes.
a friend and hook me up, okay? Okay.
All right, ditto. Just to all of you.
I think it's also true the how we define a friend. Like I've had many conversations where I have concentric circles in my life, right? And everybody's not on the inner circle, but that doesn't mean they don't have a significance in my life. So I think of friends I've had from 5th grade, who are still my friend. And, when I had a recent celebration, they were there, right? But they're not asked to be a godparent, right? Or they're not, you know what I mean? Like, so it truly is this idea of, yes, you have to decide, does this person need to completely go? Or do you need to stop thinking of them in those close concentric circles and be like, and there's true, like if someone was a friend for a reason for me, I'd probably call them an acquaintance. I probably wouldn't consider them a friend. But there's also nothing wrong.
But is that offensive, Yanni? When your acquaintance is in the room with you and you going around and you introducing everybody, right? And you're like, this is my friend Deana, this is my friend Jonai, this is my friend Nikki, this is my acquaintance LaNail. Like,
no, I'd probably be like, and this is LaNail. Like, I wouldn't give them the title, right? You know, like you wouldn't get a superlative in front of their because I wouldn't like, yeah, like, oh, and this is LaNail, you know, we do it all the time unconsciously, right? And somebody can think of you as a friend, and you can even say, oh, this is my friend so and so, but in your heart, in your mind, you know that's not equivalent to, you know, the people who are on this call.
But is that a lie? Is it an embellishment?
Not to me, because I'm not sitting there pretending like people are closer or further away from me than they truly are. You know what I mean? So I think it depends on how you do behave with them and like what are the expectations that come with it. I think of, you know, I'm not trying to call anybody out, but like, you know, getting married. When someone gets married and someone else is not asked to be a bridesmaid, you know, are they confused that they weren't asked? Are they hurt they weren't asked? Because maybe there is a miscommunication in terms of the level of closeness that you all have. And that can be confusing and hurtful, right? But it's sort of like, well, were you being fake? And it's sort of like Jonai says, you might have to do some inner reflection to think about like, well, what was I displaying to them that they seem to think one way when I think of something completely different?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And that can be, it can be hard. I'm not saying it's not difficult. I don't mean to say it like it's easy, because you don't want to hurt people's feelings on purpose. Like nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, that's major. That's a good point.
Yeah, like you don't want to hurt anybody on purpose.
This
so it might be something you know in your own heart.
But in order to know it in your own heart, and y'all, the kind of conversation we're having right now is one that makes me think about the conversations me and Ayana used to have like 10, 15 years ago, where we would just like go back and forth with these topics as a way of like processing, right? Like, okay, and then if we analyze it, then what? So my next question then, Ayana, would be, so how much awareness do you have to have about yourself, right? So if you're calling somebody a friend, but they're really an acquaintance, are you really aware that they're just an acquaintance in your life? Or how much awareness do you have to have in order to say, I'm only friends with this person for a particular reason? Whether it's to Jonai's point, because they have access to a networking group, or because they're a part of something that I want to be a part of, or whatever the case may be. How aware do you have to be to say, this is going to be my friend for just a season, right? Just while I'm married, this is my friend. Just while I'm raising this young child, this is my friend. And then how aware do you have to be when you think somebody is your friend for a lifetime and events keep occurring to show you that they're only your friend for a season, or that they have only been wanting to be your friend for a reason, right? Like for some of this, you and I and all of us on the call may be aware because these are the kind of conversations we have with each other. Like, who is that? You know, me and Dee had a conversation about one of her friends, and I was like, Slim, I don't know no more, right? Like that was good back in the day, but that person, I'm not sure, right? So we have these conversations, but I feel like a lot of people, they don't sit and analyze their friendships. They don't sit and like actually put them in concentric circles or analyze. And so they walking around calling somebody their friend who just slept with their man, right? Or they call They call
I
it
mean, you're
somebody they
absolutely
friend
right.
who they loaned some money to, and that person didn't pay them back, but they rocking a YSL bag. You know what I'm saying? Like you calling
Yeah.
people. Where is the level of awareness? I just feel like more people have to take time and sit and actually think about their lives. Think about.
I am one of those people. No, really, I know I am one of those people because I'm the most trusting, non-trusting person you could ever meet, right? And that's a moron for you. Because I'm like, oh, this, the energy feels right. This person appears right. But it's gotten me in some shit, like, just being too trusting. And it's forced me, to kind of step back to your point and have some self-awareness because it's so easy for me to talk to people and present, right? Like you all get the authentic me, but my entire life, it's been easy to present. And I can present as a likable, cool person, right? Although people get a false sense of who I am, right? By doing that, because I'm not fully presenting myself as whether that be a defense mechanism, which is the mistrust part. And then in situations where not all, but in some where I have opened up and trusted, it was like, oh, I don't really know this person, right? And then I have my long-term friends and my close friends that are like, skirt, stop calling this person your friend. You don't really know them like that yet. You know what I mean? Because I'm just so, loving. And I'm noticing my daughter having these same behaviors. Like, I just want to kumbaya. But then at the same time, people that are like that, like myself, once I turn, right? It takes a lot for me to turn. But once I do, then I'm more like the Aries that we know, where I'm like, I'm done. But it takes a lot more for me to get there because I didn't call you out, Deana. That's Aries, that's all. A lot to get there, but there did have to be a level of self-awareness, right? Because me trusting too soon or calling someone my friend too soon created conflict because I gave them a position or a title. Because when I say friend, this is my friend. This person cares about me. This person is going to have a certain sense of loyalty, which can be a whole nother topic on what is loyalty, right? But really, that's not what it is because our definitions of friendship are not aligned, right? They're not lining up together. So, and this is what I'm now trying to teach to my daughter of give it time. You have to take time to get to know people through the good, the bad, and the ugly, to know what that's going to look like, to know if that's really your friend, right? Do you all really align? Not just the honeymoon phase where we're kikiing and having a good old time and laughing at jokes and we like the same music and we like to do the same social thing. When things really go left, is this person going to show up for you? So there is self-awareness.
I wanted to make a point right there, Nick. I think sometimes where people go wrong is they expect that reciprocity, right? So I'm a loving person. Y'all know I give you the clothes off my back, my last dollar in my wallet, and that is almost to anyone. But where I differ from a lot of people is I don't expect it back I expect it back from a few people in my life. Somebody I might call an associate or say, I know this person, like I'm gonna give you all I got because that's who I am. I'm not gonna edit that because that's where my heart is, but I'm not gonna expect that from you. I think a lot of times where people go wrong is they expect that same relationship from people who don't hold them in that type of regard or don't have the capacity to even care about another human in that manner. So I think we have to really look at like, who are you truly? Are you truly just like a giving, person at heart? And are you expecting that from everyone? Because you're not going to get that from everyone.
No,
you're going
not
to get
at
that
all.
from select few. So we got to look at that.
Yeah, I think it was the loyalty. If I give you money, it's gone. If I give you clothes, it's gone. If I do something for you, I'm not even really expecting that back, right? It's not even the level of effort, it's the loyalty for me, right? And that's where I said it comes down to how does someone define loyalty? What does that look like to them? If I'm expecting you to be more loyal to me versus someone you met like 2 months ago, You know what I mean? So there's like, oh wait, what's happening? But so it's that. But like you said, D, like when I love you, and that's how I know how much I did or did not love someone by what I was willing to sacrifice for them. Right.
I want to come back to that loyalty thing, but Yana, you was trying to say something.
Yeah, because I think what you're describing is self-awareness. When you know enough about who you are, like D, you're saying, you can do this and you don't expect anything. Nikki, you said, that this is how you define things. I know how I define things. Like, it's not a universal, right? So people don't all define friendship in the same way. So there is self-awareness, but there's also discernment. Like, don't forget there's the other side, because I too one of those people, like, I can trust you until I know I can't. Right. So like our good friend Oprah said, was it Maya Angelou? Who said, when people show you who they are, believe them? That was
Maya said it to Oprah.
Okay,
And Oprah
Maya
kept
said
saying
it to Oprah. Okay, I knew it was between them two. But I think that's a good point, because we often want to see the best in people that we like, right? And that's a natural human instinct. But where do we get to that point of, kind of recognizing, wait, this isn't quite what I think it is. And that's not always a bad thing. It's about understanding what it is. There are friends who you're friends with in business, right? There are friends who you're friends with at the gathering spot. There are friends who you're friends with as a soror. There are friends you're friends with at work. And you can usually tell the differences, because there are people I would consider a friend at work, but I'm not hanging out with them on the weekend. Like,
they're acquaintances.
So that just puts them in a different concentric circle. Like, I still like these people. They're cool. We kiki all day. We order lunch together. It's great. But come Saturday, I'm not calling one on the phone like, come on, let's go to the movies. You know what I mean? So it's that level of discernment and being okay with not having everyone having that same amount of significance in your life. And it doesn't have to be hurtful to the other person.
And being okay with not being super significant to someone else. Right.
There's that.
So, playing the role of acquaintance. Right. So I think there have been times when I've got caught up. Like, I have been a busybody for most of my life, and just always doing things for people, taking care of people before I take care of myself. Just doing the most, as we say, right? It's been in recent years that I've actually had a chance to think about it, or somebody called me out on it. And I've kind of found the seat, right? And give that energy to those who deserve it, right? Who actually deserve it, who are actually friends, or actually, close people to my heart. But sometimes I do think that we get caught up in just wanting to be a part of the mix. And so, or I'm not gonna say everybody, but that has happened to me. Just wanting to be relevant and not even knowing that's what it was, until I took a step back and thought about it. Like, I don't really care about being at these things or being with these people or whatever. Like, we're not that close. I'm not literally a part of their circle. They invite, I'm invited all the time or whatever, but I'm just a nice person. Why wouldn't you invite me? But I'm not like all these people's homie. So I'm just like overextending myself, making sure I always show up to these things. And then it's like, sure, the one time I do have something, because it's very rare, then they don't show up for whatever reason. And no reason is good enough for me unless somebody died, because I feel like I never have anything. So now this one, I mean, come on, I'm being unreasonable right now, but that's the feeling that
but we get it, because you don't have a lot of stuff. And so when you do have something, people should show up. Absolutely.
Right. And so then those instances make you question what is the purpose of this relationship, and is it really necessary?
Because that's one of the definitions of friendship, right? Showing up. And when people don't show up, then it does make you question, which is one of the things I think we could talk about next time is how do we define friendships? Because you guys are all using these terms like loyalty and showing up and, concentric circles and all of that kind of stuff. And those are all what I hear is ways that you define friendship, but how often do we get to sit down and actually define friendship? Like, how often do we sit down to actually, again, process and analyze something that is so important in our lives? Like, friendships are really matter for a lot of us, right? But we like live it day to day, but we don't take any time to think about it. You know what I mean? And if we lived our careers like that, or we just, did all of our eating like that, or whatever is important, lived our finances like that, like we just do, but we never think or plan, then we will find ourselves in bad situations. But that's how we kind of live our friendships, right? Like we just do. And we never take time to sit and analyze who we want to be in the friendship, what the friendship really is and the purpose of it. And then we find ourselves hurt and subsequently blaming other people when it's really because we haven't taken time to consider what we want and who we are in those situations as well. This is deep. I was sitting here like, yeah, I know y'all saw me scratching my head like, oh, I like this.
You were scratching your head.
I was like, this is good.
But what did you want
to what's funny?
Oh, yeah. No, oh, sorry, Jonai.
Well, if we go to the next question, which we can, I also want to acknowledge the fact that earlier Jay told us that she had a hot date with her babe. And so I don't want to hold her up if we go past the hour, but definitely want to also hear what you have to say. So if Jay jumps off, then we know why, because she got a hot babe waiting for her. Her new, they newlyweds, y'all. Remember they newlyweds?
Yeah.
Marriage is ghetto.
Hot date.
Did you want to go ahead, Dee?
Oh, what was I talking about? Oh, the loyalty thing. I mean, we kind of hit it because I was talking about, I think we had a conversation about this, Nikki. We were talking about the definitions of loyalty and how that presents for you. Because there are people who believe that no matter what, you need to be on my side. And then there's people who are like, look, pull me to the side, tell me I'm wrong, and let's go from there. So you have to be clear about your definition and then the other person's definition and how they correspond or correlate together. And if that, in fact, you can have that relationship or expect that from them. Ooh, Freudian slip, thinking about somebody I dated.
Come on now.
His definition of loyalty.
Ooh, she said from him.
And
yes, she did. Like, I'll drink to that.
I wish I had a drink in this hand.
Got an air drink.
But I'm gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say, and maybe this could be for another conversation. We can kind of talk more about loyalty within friendships where we have brought other people into our circles. For example, I think most of us are connected by LaNail, but when or all of us are when something goes wrong with me and Nikki, now what? What happens? I mean, ain't not gonna go wrong with us, boo. But I'm just saying. Your hair on the side had my attention, so like, your name was the one I called.
Well, I think we would know that we would sit down and have a conversation about it. You know me.
But I mean, how do the friendships go? If I decide, or let's say, LaNail, you and I decide, because you're the link. You and I decide. You and I have a falling out. Does that mean that everybody else is done with me too?
Me and LaNail will have a conversation, and I'm gonna say, "Boo, I'm always gonna love you, but I'm keeping her." That's the conversation. I'm gonna have to keep her.
I think we talked about this. We talked about this outside of Grown Ass Women before. I think where we were talking about like, so how do you stay with people that you've had relationships with when you had this link in between? I think we can have a whole hour long conversation on that.
We had this. Yeah, we had this conversation.
Yeah, we
should
did.
table,
And
I
I
think
think
it
table it for
depends.
sure.
and we've had to put it into place most recently, right? Like we've had to make some decisions around which people we could continue to be friends with or not, because our closest friends have had falling outs with them. And it would be wonderful to say, well, I don't care. I'm gonna just rock, I'm gonna just be friends with everybody. But that's not how it always is, especially if that person like truly hurt your friend, right? Like
Yeah, I
they
was gonna say, does it depend
It
on what
depends.
happened and
It
who did
depends.
what?
But
Yeah.
see, that
It
goes
depends.
back to that definition of loyalty. Are you
Yeah.
now mad because I said, I'm gonna keep Jay? Are you not fooling with me now because I'm keeping Jonai?
Well, it depends on what Janai did. You know what I'm saying?
See?
But the reality is me being me. If something happened with Jay, I'm coming to Jay first, right? Like Jay,
what up, bitch?
this is what's up. And because I consider all of you guys my lifetime friends, when I think about it like that, I'm like, yes, we're gonna have hiccups here and there, and that's okay. But in the end, we coming back together. Like I've been friends with some of you guys, before I had these kids, before I got married, before I got to certain experiences in my life, and I wanted to continue that way. Now there's some people I've had to let go because it was a reason or it was a season. But with my lifetime friends, we're definitely having a conversation about it, and we're definitely going to put in some efforts to heal. And what I expect from my friends, my closest friends, you guys who are in my inner circle, to Ayana's point, is that you guys are reciprocal in that conversation as well. And you guys have already proven yourselves to be that, which is why I have the utmost trust, right? Like I think I always cry, literal tears whenever I hear that Beyonce and Jay-Z song Friends, right? I'm getting emotional thinking about it now. Because that is what you guys mean to me. And then I think I sent you guys another song the other day about friends. You would think that I sing and dance, but y'all ain't got no rhythm, and Jonai is the singer.
Where's she pulling these songs from?
I be like, they're my friends. I'm getting emotional. We gotta end soon. I can't be quiet.
It is, but there's accountability. There's accountability there.
Ah, shit.
Signal sucks today.
Right? And it's always these facial expressions.
Like,
I know. She
starts talking. Have you noticed she doesn't freeze unless she's trying to
that helps, right?
talk? So that's definitely the internet. Oh,
what
she's
you
back.
say?
Oh,
You
okay.
back? Welcome.
When I froze, I was on my own camera like this.
Yeah, girl, you was froze.
You use
There's accountability there. Right. Listen, this, I'm not at home. I can't speak on the Wi-Fi that I don't pay. No, there's accountability there, right? Like, so I feel like lifetime loyalty has accountability and growth, right? Like there are seasons, but there are seasons that you go through together, right? Because we all are growing and evolving as we go through this journey of life, right? So, but I'm that protective friend too, kind of like D, how D was with me. And I think all of you all are the protective friends. I had different experiences with each of you all being the newest one in this group. I had different ones. D was more of the quiet, hey.
That's me.
Ayana was like, well, okay, hey, you're Nikki. Okay, I heard about you. Nice.
And then Yanni don't say nothing for like a year, right?
Right. And then Jonai was like, hey, girl. Okay, LaNail, who this girl you done brought around me? Like, was like I'm super warm and bubbly and we're great, but on the side, okay, who is this? Like, what's up? Do I fool with her or not? Like, what's up? So, I get it. Like, you all are very protective, and I'm the same way. Like, when one of my core group of girlfriends introduces someone new, I'm like,
But you know what I want to say, it's twofold in a manner. Like you want to protect your friends, making sure they're not fooling with somebody crazy. But when you're in a core group like this, like I might say anything on that text.
Right.
I might say a deep, dark secret. I need that to know that's
where it's
at. You might.
That's where
I'm pretty sure.
I do.
Many times when I be like, let me just delete what she just said, because
I do.
Yeah, we like delete, please.
Delete. Yes. You put something in the chat and be like, hey, delete.
delete. Look, back in April, we had a whole lot of delete these, please. Delete these, please.
Right.
Delete.
Yes.
Right, exactly. So it's a twofold, kind of looking at the person and who they are, because you also, you putting your business out there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and end because I know we got the responsibilities. I saw my little guy baby in the back, probably about to be like, Mom, what's up? And Jay got all the things. We got the things to do. Get the doctorates. We got the things.